Welcome. You're watching Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life, with your host, Danny Pabone and Rifle Scudder.
What a test. Russell thinks about the kick again, looks for the pass. He found it last week at the start, doesn't do it now. Ryan! Gibson Park. Keenan! Coleman's waiting. Keenan! They've done it!
Welcome to Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life. As always, I'm joined here by my friend Rifle. Rifle, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Danny. Just sitting here through a typical Virginia summer's afternoon thunderstorm. In the morning, the humidity and the heat is so bad that in the afternoon, nature just has to get rid of something. So if this broadcast ends immediately with a bang, it's lightning and thunder happening outside. But other than that, we are good. Thank you.
We are in the same boat because here in New Jersey, we are going through a very severe thunderstorm as well. It's funny, Rifle, just before we started the episode, I literally jumped out of my seat because I saw a flash of lightning and thunder that shook my whole house.
So if I do look behind me like this every now and then, it's not someone coming in the room, but I'm trying to see those dark clouds and lightning behind me.
But nonetheless, everyone, we are here. And in this episode, we just wanted to continue to talk about all the different matches that are occurring and that have occurred in the month of July. There's so much rugby going on. So we just wanted to cover a few more games from July 19th, the weekend of July 19th, where we were in DC watching the U.S. Eagles men's and women's team play matches. So that was a great trip. And we had a lot of fun, but we also wanted to cover other matches that weekend that happened to be played by teams that are getting ready to play the Rugby Championship. So we just wanted to talk about those games as well. But before we do that, we wanted to talk about the amazing for the Lions, but heartbreaking for the Wallabies of Australia. That amazing game that took place this past weekend, the 26th of July. Wow, what a game, what an ending. Both teams going at it, and the Lions were able to come out with a win. Wow.
Literally in the 79th minute, breaking through there, the Aussies leading by quite a large margin at one stage and then throwing the game away, unfortunately for them. And at the end of the game, British and Irish Lions being victorious, and with that, winning that game. So they won the first one. So now the series is won 2-0. So is it going to be a whitewash? Can Australia come back and win the last one? So much to talk about. And then obviously the whole rugby world is talking about mostly not the whole 80 minutes of the game, but just the incident that happened at the 79th minute with Jack Morgan and Tizano, bumping heads and, all of that. And was it a ruck? Was it a high tackle? Was it a bad clear out? The whole world's talking about that. But for me, because, we say this is a podcast about rugby and life, with AI happening now and AI becoming so prevalent, people's jobs, they say, being taken away, people losing jobs to AI and robots or machines. It doesn't matter what country you're in, if you follow and you love rugby, whether you support Australia or whether you support the British and Irish Lions, it doesn't matter. People who watch rugby and are intense about the game and love it, we get emotional. We talk about that shouldn't have been, it should have, it was a 50-50 call, the ref should have done this, and we discuss this. And there are a lot of people that are very angry if you are an Aussie fan, and a lot of people that are very happy if you're a Lions fan. But AI can't do this. With AI becoming more prevalent and things like that, I can't see us. You're not going to be able to have that human emotion. If you just left this whole incident to AI to discuss it, you wouldn't have the raw emotion that we have watching it, depending on who you support. It was emotional, and now I say there's so much talk now because now it's 2-0. That I believe the rugby world, even if you are a British supporter, you might have liked it to be 1-1 after the first two tests, so that the third test was winner takes all. I mean, it just puts so much more on the line for the last game. But now having 2-0 already, so Australia, doesn't matter what happens, they've lost. If it were 1-1 and they could still, it would have been so much more thrilling to watch the last test. And people are talking about that. So now when you get into this test now, the Lions, who they're going to choose? Are they going to go for the whitewash? Are they going to absolutely try? And I think it's since 1905 or something like that, since they've won 3-0. So are they going to pick the absolute best team to go out and make it 3-0? Or are they going to give players who might not have had a chance to get a cap and allow them to play? And even if they lose, you've given the experience of a lifetime to players who might never have this opportunity again to say, listen, we're gonna give you a chance, you're gonna run on the field, you're gonna be a lion, you're gonna get a cap. In the rugby history of the world, your name is going to be etched in that. So, what is Farrell going to do? Is he going to absolutely go with the best team, or is he going to give guys? And, by the time we're recording this, he has already chosen his team, the 23. And seems to me personally, he's going all out with 100% everything he has for a 3-0 whitewash. They didn't take any chances. They didn't take any positions where let's give this guy a chance. Let's just put him in there. They're going with everything they have to make it 3-0, in my opinion, with a team that they have chosen. So we talk about rugby and life. AI can't have the emotion that we have now, and the people, especially if you are an Aussie or Southern Hemisphere or Northern Hemisphere Lions, if you're Scottish, Irish, Welsh, or English, there's just so much talk. This whole week, as I say, has been talking about the 79th minute of an 80-minute brilliant rugby game. And there was such good rugby, and guys like, Will Skelton coming back for the Aussies, who hasn't played, and he made such a difference. And I mean, he's big and he's powerful, and he played his heart out and did so well. And then, you wonder why they would take guys off that were scrumming well. And, did the coaches there, Joe Schmidt, did he make the right choices taking guys off just to do you just bring reserves on for the sake of bringing reserves on? Do you try and rest those players that are playing well for the third test? Because now in hindsight, obviously, maybe should have kept the guys on, because the bench of Australia were not that good. And when they came on, the Lions definitely got the upper hand. So it's just wonderful that we can sit and talk, if you are interested in rugby and you love the game, about the whole game. You can talk literally a whole week about one game, and waiting for the next game to happen. And machines and AI can't do that. So up until this stage, we're still in good hands. So that's all I have to say about the game.
Yeah, I agree. With all the AI hype that's going on, I guess the emotion is what makes sports exciting. Being a fan and everything, and just trying. Well, from my perspective, trying, being over the past couple of years, just learning the game of rugby and just talking to you, and you having a lifelong love for the game, because you always say that when you were born, you were handed a rugby ball in the hospital, and that's
Every
just the
boy in South
culture.
Africa.
That's just the culture of South Africa. So just from being a I would say a neutral, because if the Lions would have won, great. If Australia would have won, great. Uh, just being a sports fan, I just wanted a great game, and that's exactly what this game was. And it's interesting because something that you just touched upon is, you know, the just watching the recording and the rerun of this game, just watching it yesterday, you could feel the momentum shift. Started with Australia, then at the end of the half it was the Lions. Then the first half again started for Australia pushing the ball and everything. And then about midway into the second half, the Lions started getting the momentum again. So momentum shifts, like about 3 or 4 momentum shifts happened in this game, and that's what made it so exciting. And just for Australia to have at one point in the first half a 23-5 lead and them dominating the Lions, and it was a shock. I mean, you could see the Lions fans in the crowd were just like eyes wide open because they couldn't believe what they were seeing in front of them. Like the first 30 minutes of the game, a 23-5 lead for the Wallabies. And then the Lions score 2 tries in the last 10 minutes of the first half. And we always talk about you never want to give up scores before the end of the first half. And that's exactly what the Wallabies did. And then comes the 79th minute. A quote unquote controversial call by the ref. And Australia fans said Australia got robbed, they shouldn't have counted the try. And then you have the British and Irish fans, which are countries Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales. Those fans saying, hey, it was a good call. I side with the British and Irish Lions fans. I watched, I think I mentioned this to you. I watched this play in slow motion 20 times. And the one thing that I mentioned to you the other day, Rifle, was, see, in football, the two brief examples that I wanted to share here. In football, as you know, is if the offensive player catches the ball and the defensive player catches the ball, which is possible, both players could catch the ball at the same time. And let's say this play happens in the end zone, the referee will award a touchdown to the offensive player, even though both players caught it at the same time. Also in baseball is if a baseball player hits the ball, runs to first base, and the ball and the runner gets to first base at the same exact time, the umpire is going to call the runner safe. And I say that because the Australian defender gets to the ruck and Jack Morgan gets to the ruck at the same exact time. And it's unfortunate that, yes, Jack Morgan did have a shoulder to the head, to the bottom of the chin, which is part of the head of the Wallaby player, but they got there at the same time. Jack Morgan did not leave his feet. He did not leap. He got low and grabbed his grabbed, which is you're supposed to bind when you go into a ruck. He binded with his teammate, went low, and followed all the rules of the ruck. So just using those two examples from the other sports, getting there at the same time, he followed all the rules. In my opinion, I think the ref got it correct, the call correct. And it's unfortunate for the Wallabies.
Yeah, as I say, the whole week listening to different pundits and players and people from all over, different referees in different countries, And I heard people from both countries saying it was a good call and it was a bad call, both
Yeah.
sides. So the problem with that is, if you look at the rules, like you say, there are a couple of rules in rugby that look like a rat's ass. And what I mean
Okay.
by that, it's a gray area.
Mm.
It's not black and white. So you can't, you'll hear people say it was a 50-50 call.
Okay.
If it were another ref, or if it weren't even the 79th minute, if the whole series wasn't on the line, I mean, that call carries so much weight.
Mm.
You'll have exactly the same call in another game, in the same game, maybe first half, and you might get a different call. And that's what I mean by a rat's ass. It's grey area. You can't say, okay, black and white, he was there, rule 15.1, your head's not allowed to be lower than your hips, things like that. So at the end of the day, once again, the emotions that come in, and it's very easy for us to say, watching that move 30 times, slowed down, watching people coming in from what direction. Did they come through the gate at the back? Did they come from the side? The referee literally has a nanosecond to make that decision, and he had the goons to say, okay, this is my call. This is what I saw, and we're going with this. I don't know if you saw the two captains coming together and Itoje Morrow coming over and, wanting to talk and try to get the other captain away. And the ref just said, okay, listen,
Yeah.
Morrow, just go away. I'll deal with it. I don't, because he was trying to, the Australian captain was obviously going to say, come on, man, this and this and this
We're
was
trying
wrong.
to influence the ref, which
Right.
happens.
So he stood his ground. He said, Morrow, get away. I'll deal with this, and he had to make a split decision and he made it. My only thing would be that do that constantly. If you can do it here, do it in every game. Don't now stop and say, in another game, okay, let's go to the TMO. Or the TMO comes and says, oh, no, for example, the Rugby World Cup, and I'm a South African, I'm a Springbok, but I mean, New Zealand scored, and the TMO said, no, there was a knock on we had. So after a play where they scored, the TMO says, no, you got to go back and that's not a try and all of that. So why did they lean on the TMO in the Rugby World Cup? But here they didn't. The ref made the call. So that's what I'm saying is, like, if you do it once, do it every time. If you're going to give the ref who has the whistle, the authority and the power to make the decision, then let all of them do that without going back. So I think, World Rugby has to look at that, how they want to implement the TMOs and so on and so forth. But once again, the emotion of that and the weight that it carried, he made a decision, right or wrong, he stood by his decision, and, good for him. I mean, can you imagine the pressure knowing this very, very, very move that I'm looking at here is going to decide the whole series? I mean, since 1905, oh my goodness, the whole world is watching me, but I believe it's the right call to make, and we give the try, and there we go. So as I say, if you're a British and Irish Lion, you were absolutely jeering for the ref. He was great. He was magnificent. If you're an Aussie fan, how can you do that? So the emotion in the game and just the way it rallies the people and all of that. So it's good. But Australia, definitely, oh my goodness, their players that came back from injury, as I said before, Will Skelton coming back, I personally don't think that a lot of people thought that they had in them what they did that first half. For the first 40 minutes, I mean, they went with everything they had. And, even the Lions were caught off guard by, man, these guys came at us with everything. And then unfortunately, they let it slip. And that's another thing, that if you are leading, by 20 plus points, you should not have one incident that is decided by the ref in the 79th minute make you lose the game. If you could just hold on to the lead, I mean, then the game is yours. You were playing so well. You did so good. Everything was going according to plan, maybe even better than what you expected. How can you, in that position, throw the game away and at the end say, well, the ref took it away from us? If you get to that point where the ref makes a decision and it's win or lose, if you were leading by that much, something went wrong there for the Aussies, which is sad because, as I say, it would have been nice to have a 1-1. But the other thing now, Australia coming into the Rugby Championship against the All Blacks for the Bledisloe Cup, South Africa and Argentina. People were saying they're not that good, and we've spoken about it on this program. They have been battling. They have not been as good as what they used to be in days past. But man, this team is hungry, and they're coming back now. The other thing as well with them is, I believe Joe Schmidt is finished after this. He's leaving, if I'm not correct. That's another thing, that they got a new coach for the Rugby Championship. But this team showed that they've got it in them, that they can, once again, like we say, with all of these teams in the top tier, you can beat any team on any given day. There's not a team that you can play that you can say, oh, this is a walkover, or we don't have to play that hard, or, So it just makes it interesting. So it was great.
Yes, it was. And we could talk about this game for a lot more time, for another hour or so, because again, so many lessons in this game that and a couple of things that I just wanted to mention before we move on in the episode is, well, number one, Maro Itoje's, the captain's play in this game was just, and as everybody can see here, he was the player of the match. He was awarded the player of the match honors. And his consistent leadership in this game, you could see even when they were down 23-5. Number one, his play, he was very physical. He was, every time a tackle was made, he was there to push, if they had the ball, to clear everybody out, make sure they don't steal the ball. And just his physicality, his tackles, he was always in the game, as a captain should be, making physical players. But the other thing that you notice in this game was his constant talking to his teammates. Hey, it's okay, we got this. Get your head in the game. You saw that consistently throughout this game, even when they were down by 18 or 19 points at one point. So yeah, it was amazing just to see him, his play and his leadership, and just telling the guys, "Hey, we got this. Let's get back into this game, little by little." So yeah, and the second thing I wanted to mention was, I believe you mentioned the player who came back from injury. What was his name again?
Will Skelton.
There you go. He got into the minds of the Lions in the first half. He was very physical. Great. They got into a little scuffle with him and a couple other Lions players in the first half, and he was giving it to them. So I believe he was part of the reason, they made a lot of mistakes, because he got into their head in that first half, because he's a huge, big guy.
huge, but he played well.
But like we just mentioned, unfortunately, Australia in the second half just didn't have the same intensity and attack in the second half, and it came down to a play in the last minute, and the Lions came back and won this game. Nonetheless, great job, the Lions, for coming back, and great job for Australia for really giving it to the Lions and making them work for this win. So yeah, it was a great game overall.
Great, yeah. And Keenan scoring that last try.
Mm-hmm.
Watching him and where he came from, I believe he played under 14B at school and wasn't, the best player at school, and just kept at it and worked hard. And he wins the series for the British and Irish Lions. So good on Keenan. I mean, what a try, going past, having just that little bit of speed, seeing the gap, taking the gap and scoring, and game over. So wonderful for him. What a magic moment in his life.
Yes, it was a great try, great moment, and you could see the excitement in the team's face, in the Lions' face, and his face when he got up to celebrate that try.
Yeah.
So yeah,
90,000 people. That's a big crowd that you're playing in front of.
I believe it's a record for the Lions.
For the British and Irish Lions, 90,000.
So yes, at one of the most iconic stadiums in the world, the Melbourne Cricket Grounds, which is an iconic stadium in international sports in any country. So
Yeah,
yeah,
MCG for sure.
so yeah, great game all around. But like I said, we could talk about this game forever. But let's move on to other games that again that occurred not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago. But we just wanted to cover because again, Rugby Championship starting August 16th.
Yes, they
And
do.
Rifle, I know you're gonna be going to South Africa in this Saturday actually, and you're gonna be
Correct.
spending a month over there. And I'm sure you're excited. It's been you were telling me it's been about 16, 17 years
Yeah,
since
since
you.
2007. So we're going over. I'll see South Africa. The Springboks play against Australia in South Africa. So it's going to be wonderful.
Yes, so I'm sure you're excited about that. Going back to your homeland and just reunited with friends and family. So I'm sure you're very excited about that. So you're going to be in South Africa doing the Rugby Championship. So I'm sure it's South Africa is just going to be eclectic the month of June. So you're going at the perfect time. So we just wanted to cover a few as if you're new to rugby. The Rugby Championship is, as we say, a Southern Hemisphere rugby tournament between the countries of New Zealand, South Africa, Australia, and Argentina. And it's sort of like, uh, Six Nations, very similar to Six Nations point system. And whoever has the most points at the end of the tournament is considered the winner or the champions of the tournament. So yeah, we had a few games here. That the New Zealand and France game, another close one. Um, Again, this game at half, I believe it was tied, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was very close on half. Uh, the French defense in this game again surprised New Zealand. It was a very tough game. New Zealand did not take the lead until the 58th minute. And the interesting thing about this game was, as you had mentioned before, Rifle, quite a few drop goals attempted in this game.
Mm.
And again, for those, if this is your first time learning about or the game of rugby, a drop goal is pretty much drop the ball on the ground, bounces once, and then you try to kick the ball through the posts. It's not easy thing to do, but many were attempted in this game because of the defense on both sides. And it got to the point where both defenses were playing so good that, you know, there was quite a few instances where, hey, there's no opponent around me. I'm close to the post. Let me just try to drop goal and see if it goes in. That's how much of a defensive game this game was. So it was amazing to watch.
Yeah, and even just the fact that it's 3 points. It's not five like a try.
Mm-hmm.
But how valuable 3 points would have been, trying so many times just to get 3 points on the board because the game was closer than what people maybe thought. The
Yes.
second test, New Zealand ran away with it because France really had a new team, not guys that are very, very stooped in the French game. And so new players, not as experienced as one would think. So
Mm-hmm.
in this test, the third test, they put in some other players again that had more experience and so on. So it was definitely a closer game. But as we've said before in this program, the French have depth. It's just amazing the players that they have. So for them to 29-19 to the All Blacks, that's good. If it's not your best team and your best players are not playing, So
Yeah.
very, very good on the French. So All Blacks had to dig deep to win this game. So they definitely ready for the Rugby Championships. New Zealand, they've had three difficult games against France.
Yes, yes, they have. And like you say, French, just like the South Africans, have a lot of depth. And just for them to put up a performance like this with players that do not have as many caps, you know, as the obviously as the more experienced French players. It was amazing thing to see and a great game, and that play by Jody Barrett to set up like we see here Brody McAllister try. I mean, wow. It was just amazing play because again the defense was on both sides. The defense was just tough, and you know this try. If you watch the game, by Jordy Barrett, just that little gap that he took. He saw the gap. It was the tiniest of gaps. He saw it. He was like, "Hey, this is probably the biggest gap we've had in the game," and it wasn't that big. And he slips through, was able to get quite a few meters to set up and then pass it to Brody McAllister. It was an amazing try, and that pretty much that try sealed the deal for New Zealand, and they come out with the win.
Yeah, Geordie, amazing. So he's back, and his brother, I believe, is back from injury. So when the Rugby Champion starts, he'll be playing. A couple of the players that were injured, I believe Satiti is back again, so he could be playing. And he, as we said last year, he was the new player of, world player, up and coming world player of the year. So his injuries is pretty much over now. So he will be should be featuring in the Rugby Championship. So New Zealand, definitely 2 or 3 players that are coming back from injury that are going to boost their squad a lot.
Yes, and at a good time where they're going to be facing obviously tough competition against South Africa, and not only South Africa, you have Argentina as well.
Argentina and the Aussies now, yeah. So
yes,
a lot to play for there.
it's going to be a good rugby championship, great rugby to be played in the month of August. Looking forward to that.
Sure.
Now the second game was South Africa and Georgia, and obviously Georgia, like we've mentioned before, is one of those up and coming teams that I'm not sure because we've spoken about this in the previous episode. Is Georgia considered a third tier or the second tier?
I'm guessing second because they've played in the World Cup, they've made it. So
okay. That's what I figured.
I'm thinking, second tier. They definitely, they play the big teams. They play guys that are, the top name. I mean, they played South Africa, the world champions. So they're definitely up and coming. They've played in World Cups before. So I'm guessing they would be tier 2 side.
Yes. Okay.
They have to qualify. Yeah, I would think tier 2.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about this game. South Africa dominated, as was expected. However, Georgia does score within the first 2 minutes of the game, and that was a shock to people because even though it was the first score and only try, because they scored a penalty, they had a penalty kick at the 28th minute, I believe, but that was their last score, the penalty kick. After that, South Africa just dominated the rest of the game. But it did shock everybody when Georgia scored 2 minutes into the game. Everyone was like, what just happened? They scored already? So yeah, great for Georgia to be able just to score in the first 2 minutes. Again, just watching this game, wow, South Africa dominant in the scrums as always, dominant in the mauls, rolling mauls as always. They scored multiple times on the rolling maul. And yeah, South Africa just shows why they're number 1 currently in the world. And they're the beautiful thing about South Africa is not only are they physical, but when they need to attack and be quick, they also have the skill to attack and be quick as well. So they have the physicality, they have the quickness, they have the experience. And like I said, that's why they're currently ranked number 1 in the world. So yeah.
But if you take Georgia, they're also a physical side. I mean, they scrummed. I mean, they gave the Springboks definitely run for their money in some of the scrums, and that's what Rassi was saying before the game as well. You don't run on the field playing Georgia thinking, oh, it's going to be an easy game.
Yes.
These guys are tough. These guys are hard, and they play the whole game with everything they got. Hence scoring the first try, coming at it with everything they got. So Georgia improving all the time, getting better and better. So, well done to Georgia. It's a big score, but I mean, they played the world champs and, they scored a try. They scored the first try. They weren't humiliated, so well done to Georgia. They definitely team up and coming, and we'll see a lot of them in the future, I think.
Yes. Yes. So, as we always say, the more teams that become better at rugby, the better.
Good for the game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And now the last game we wanted to touch upon, again, these are teams that are getting ready to play in the Rugby Championship, is Argentina. Argentina up against Uruguay. And again, Argentina being ranked in the top 10. I believe they're currently number 6, if I'm not mistaken, either 6th or 7th, if I'm not mistaken. So again, another team that's ranked in the top 10. And in the first half, this was actually a close game. Argentina at the half was leading only 12-7 after the first half. So yeah, the Uruguay team was hanging in there in the first half. They conceded actually a penalty try to Argentina in the first 3 minutes. Uruguayan player got a yellow card. So technically, really, if it wasn't for that yellow card and that penalty try, Argentina only scored a try in the first half. A physical try in the first half. But
Yeah.
in the second half, it was totally different story. Argentina just said, okay, enough with this. We're done playing with you. And unfortunately, Uruguay had just got steamrolled in the second half.
You say that, but I mean, South Africa, the world champions, they got 55, Argentina only 52. So Uruguay held them, so they got 17 where Georgia only got 10. So if you look at Uruguay scoring in only 12-7 down at halftime, I mean, they came out, they did very, very well. So good for Uruguay.
Yes, yeah. And they really gave Argentina all that they can handle in the first half.
Yeah, they did well.
But it's like you say, Rifle, rugby, it's 80 minutes, and you have to play all 80 minutes. Argentina just came out of just came out in the second half from the beginning to end, just started. I was going to say if maybe the game was 45 minutes, Uruguay maybe had a chance and maybe could have won, but unfortunately, Argentina.
Talking to at halftime from the Argentina coach and said, that's enough. You either go out and you play, you're not playing this jersey again. And they were like, okay, we've got to change the way we're doing things a bit.
Yes, I think that's what happened at halftime.
Yeah.
Yes. So with that, everyone, just to end this episode, as always, just wanted to highlight a few plays here. And this first play that I wanted to highlight here is the game between the Wallabies, the second that we just spoken about. The second test match of the tour between the Wallabies and the Lions here. Oh. So I just wanted to show this play. I'm just going to play it here. So just to set up this play, the Lions had scored a try if I'm not mistaken, a couple of minutes before this play. However, it was determined that the Lions player that has scored the try had dropped the ball like literally half a second before he touched the ball on the ground. And I don't need to tell you, I'm just saying to the audience here that, if you drop the ball before you touch the ball to the ground and it can move a millimeter forward. A millimeter forward, it's considered a knock on, and the try is overturned and reversed. That's exactly what happened. Now, this is a couple of minutes after that try being reversed, and this is what happens. Clever play by the British and Irish Lions tours, and here we go. So he's setting it up, kicks it, and boom, dives over. And there you go. And if anybody noticed here, he kicked it forward 2 inches, which is a forward kick, which is legal. He pretty much kicked forward to himself, picks it up, and dives for the try. So that was pretty cool to watch. And the other thing I've noticed, Rifle, that in rugby, if you dive to avoid a tackle, it's considered a penalty. That is not allowed. However, if you're diving to score a try, that it is allowed. Diving forward is only allowed if it's in the act of scoring a try. So that's
another rat's ass thing in rugby, that grey area there, because like in NFL, guys can literally try and jump over an opponent where in rugby you're not allowed to. So this talk was also a big deal in the game, because in previous games, Shannon would take the ball and he would immediately go low. And you were talking about the tap. If you get a free kick, you have to start the game like that. You have to tap it forward. If you don't tap it, the other team will get the ball. That's why he kicked it, that little tip. You have to start the game like that from a free kick. So he tips it forward, takes the ball. And in previous games, he would go to the ground immediately and bring the ball back. So the people were saying the Aussies were expecting him to go low, just tap it, go to the ground, and recycle the ball backwards. So when they're expecting it, they're also now coming low to try and get the ball. And when they go low, he dives over them and scores a try. And that's why you would see, the guys, if you go back, you'll see them saying, he jumped over. He's not allowed to do that. It shouldn't be a try. So that was another try that a lot of people are still talking about right now. Should he, as you say, everything you said, according to the law, if you dive to score a try, yes, but to dive to evade a tackle, was there a tackle there? Was he diving over a guy? Yeah, so as I say, another grey area there that a lot of people are talking about. But got him a try, good for him, and that was it.
And that's just before we move on to the next play. That's the genius of great coaches, because we've spoken about this many times. Great coaches look at the rules and find ways to bend them a little bit where it goes into that gray area, and most of the time you get the call in your favor. And that happens in any sport. Great coaches look at the rules. Okay, let's bend the rules a little bit where it's a 50-50 call, but most of the time we're going to get the benefit of the doubt and we're going to come out positive on this play. And I'm sure this is one of these plays where, Farrell and the coaching staff were like, hey, let's try this and let's see if it works out. So yeah, genius play by
well done.
Well done for them. Next play I wanted to just highlight here is France and New Zealand, and this is the play that I was talking about just a couple of minutes ago. Jordy Barrett finds the. Oh no, I'm sorry. My apologies. This is another play. This is not the play, but this was a great play as well. So let me just replay this here. We have the All Blacks coming out of ruck, kicking the ball. Wow. And if you could see here, Damian McKenzie deserves a high five from his teammates. Because, oh, sorry everyone, okay, here we go. My computer just froze. Sorry about that. So right here, bam, Damian McKenzie just gets tackled hard on this play right before he kicks the ball. And you can see right there, boom. So whoever scored that try owes Damian McKenzie a drink because he got clobbered in that play. The third play, well, I guess I'll just showcase this play and then the next play next. So this is this is Argentina and Uruguay. This is coming off a scrum. And again, teams, fast decision making. I mean, look at this passing. Wow. You have no Uruguayan players covering the other side of the field. The scrum half for Argentina sees that, takes the ball from the scrum, spreads the ball quickly, and easy try because there's no defenders on that side of the field. So great play and great vision for the scrum half of Argentina. And then the last play I wanted to highlight here is actually scoring the only try. South Africa scored a lot of tries. I was like, let me just showcase the one try of Georgia here. And this, again, this occurred 2 minutes into the game. A lot of fans were like, what? Georgia scored already 2 minutes in? And this was also a great score, a tough score. So we have Georgia right here. To Maul. And we have this hooker grab the ball and scores. And it's amazing, right, for this play because you see number 2 come in and you don't even realize that he has the ball.
Yeah.
A lot of players didn't realize, except for that hooker from South Africa, realized he had the ball. But a lot of the other players of South Africa, they didn't even realize he had the ball. So that was a good ball, a good passing of the ball within the ball. And then the hooker, number 2 of Georgia, just sneaking in and just playing physical and scoring the try. Again,
No,
2 minutes into
that's
the game.
excellent because not a lot of teams can do that, especially against teams like New Zealand, Australia, England, so the Springboks as well. I mean, they're known for doing that kind of thing and not having it done to them, but they were manhandled there by Georgia. That was a brilliant try by Georgia, very well. So the Springboks had to wake up after that and say, these guys are here to play, So they did very well. That was excellent play from them.
Yes, it was. It was an amazing try, a physical try.
Yep.
And it's like you said, it seems like the Springboks were awakened during that play, and we're like, okay, Georgia came to play. Okay, let's play. Let's get it together here and just play our game. And that's what happened the rest of the game.
They did, yeah.
South Africa woke up and pretty much dominated the rest of the game. But again, amazing try by Georgia. Like you said, they're very physical in that play right there and scored a try 2 minutes in. So congrats to them for an amazing play. So with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of us just updating on all the wonderful rugby that's occurring or that occurred in the month of July. We're excited about all the rugby that's going to occur in the month of August. We got the Rugby Championship. We got the Women's World Cup Plus, we have other international play, other games that are going on in the month of rugby. So, yeah, a lot of great rugby to come in the month of August as well. And your trip to South Africa. So, that's going to be great as well, Rifle.
Very exciting, yes.
So, with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Rifle, as always, thank you. And enjoy your trip. And we will see you until next time, everyone.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Cheers.
Take care. Thank you for watching this episode of Rugby with Rifle. Remember to press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to support this podcast.